China is sending its military forces to surround the island of Taiwan in a set of large-scale drills that one Chinese military analyst called a, quote, rehearsal of possible real action.
Shortly after the drills, U.S. warships sailed through the Taiwan Strait, angering China's military, which accused the U.S. of provocation. So just how worried should the U.S. be about the supposed rehearsal drills? Joining us now to discuss, Vice Chair for the Center for American Security for America First Policy Institute, Fred Fleitz. Fred, I want to start off with a much simpler question. Is China going to take over Taiwan?
Bob, I think China has every intention of doing that. I think it's moved up the date that it wants to do that. And I believe what we're seeing now is in response to international events and events at home. What's happening in Ukraine, the perceived weakness of the United States, but real problems with the economy, real problems with businesses in China, and the enormous lockdown in cities like Shanghai. I think President Xi has a lot of things he wants to distract the people of China from, and I think he sees openings because of the weakness of the Biden administration.
Now, let's take a look at what the Chinese military said about their presence in Taiwan. Let's check this out. The U.S. frequently stages such dramas and provokes trouble, sending wrong signals to Taiwan independence forces and deliberately intensifying tensions across the Taiwan Strait. So again, China saying it warned a U.S. warship. I think a lot of, at least for me, I'm kind of confused because what is China actually doing? You said what their intent is, but what are we supposed to assume they're doing? Just kind of hanging out and just doing military drills or actual real rehearsals here, which is similar to what Bob asked?
I think the first step for China taking Taiwan would be to deny the use of the Strait of Taiwan to international shipping. China claims this is their waters. They don't want ships going through it without permission. They don't want foreign warships going through it. And the U.S. is being very careful to say that this is an international waterway and we are going to treat it that way. That's why even the Biden administration sends a U.S. Navy ship through this strait every month to demonstrate that this is an international waterway. It is not Chinese territory, but the Chinese government begs to differ.
Okay, let's say we give that show of force. We send it through the international waterways. We claim that you have no right to be there. Yet the performance that Mr. Biden has shown with Ukraine is not forceful. It's not intimidating. China seems to have its eye on Taiwan like a cat on a mouse. And how do you think this unfolds? How do you think this plays out? And do you have any idea about the timing?
I think the Chinese are studying what happened in Ukraine and the way the U.S. dealt with it very carefully. They know we would only go so far in supporting Ukraine because Russia has nuclear weapons and Ukraine is not a strategic U.S. interest. I think the Chinese are looking at how the Russians attacked Ukraine, the mistakes they made. They're also looking at the capability of new weapons that the Ukrainians successfully used against the Russians. The Taiwanese are going to have these weapons too. The Chinese are going to get around them. I think if there is a Chinese invasion, Bob, it's going to be a surprise, and there's going to be a massive, massive push for the capital, Taipei, basically undo all the mistakes that Russia made in Ukraine.
Now let's take a listen to what CNN political analyst Josh Rogin had to say about China pausing its plans to invade Taiwan.
Well, it's definitely causing him to think about how to insulate China from that type of sanctions. And that's what he's doing. He's not pausing. He's actually speeding up his plans.
Do you agree?
I do. And I respect Rogan. I think his analysis, I don't like his analysis of Trump's foreign policy, but I think his analysis of China has been spot on. And I think that the timetable has been moved up because of the weakness of this administration. I think the chances of an invasion before Biden ends his first term, I think are going to grow and grow. And I think the Chinese are testing the waters to see how far they can go.
That's interesting. And then a moment ago, you said that they are going to try to avoid the mistakes that Russia made. Give us your bullet points on what those mistakes are you think they're going to try to avoid.
Well, Russia had a disorganized invasion. They didn't invade with enough troops. They didn't have a plan. They spread their troops out, basically unprepared troops over a wide area. I think there will be a massive, well-planned invasion on Taipei. And I think they will be prepared for all the new technology that could be sinking Chinese ships. They'll be looking at anti-missiles, anti-ship missiles. They'll be looking at drones, all the other things that Taiwan has learned from Ukraine. China will learn from this too.
When you use the term Taipei, do you mean Taiwan, the Chinese Taipei, Taiwan? Is there a difference in your mind between the two?
Well, Taipei is the capital of Taiwan.
Got it. Well, I was talking about that general area because I've seen internationally Taiwan represented as Chinese Taipei, like in international Olympic events, that sort of thing. So from the China side, they call it Chinese Taipei. And then from the Western community, they call it Taiwan. So
well, China won't let anyone recognize the sovereignty of Taiwan. So they force international organizations to call it Chinese Taipei. The U.S. doesn't use such a ridiculous term, and obviously you and I won't either.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you, Fred.
Good to be here.